Lincoln County School District acknowledges the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians that consist of over 30 bands originating from Northern California to Southern Washington. The Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians currently occupy and manage 9,310 acres located here in Lincoln County. But this is a mere fraction of their original 1855 1.1 million acre site coastal reservation. We must remember the people of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians are and will forever be the first stewards of this land, water, and fish. We acknowledge and we recognize the continued sovereignty of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians and honor their ancestral homelands. We are committed to bringing awareness to their history and the existence of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians since time memorial. All right, thank you so much. Go ahead and do a roll call. Megan Colley. Nancy.
Here.
Cynthia McKinley. Here. Mike Rawls.
Here.
Kevin on Zoom, and Liz Martin is present. So at this time, we'll move on to introductions. Do we have any introductions tonight?
Well, as usual, it's wonderful to see people in our audience for our business meeting today. And I would.
Oh, shit. What did I do? Oh, great. It's lovely. Huh, that's lovely. What happened there?
Nepson.
Hopefully I said your name right.
Yeah.
It could be
Yeah, yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
Just for direct communication, it's not from Central Coast Fire District, it's from the actual association, volunteer association, they're
Oh.
separate entities. That's, I just wanted, it seemed to be a thing of confusion, so I wanted everybody to make sure that they understood. that it's not
Thank
from
you.
The district. So,
Well, thank you for clarifying,
You're welcome.
and thanks for coming tonight. We
You're welcome.
appreciate it. So I'm going to just read up my letter back to you. We want to thank you for your letter. And at this time, we have to say to be fiscally responsible to Lincoln County. And we the school board, you know, when we're elected, that's one of the things we're elected to do is to spend your money very wisely, which we do. We wouldn't be sitting up here. But we won't be able to donate the property at this time. We'd like to encourage the Central Coast Fire and Rescue to contact whoever the purchaser of the property is when it sells. And that information will be made available through Advantage River.
So that the way that this works, let me explain how the process of the school board works. So when we look at the agenda for the meeting, we have written communication, and that's what Chair Martin has just acknowledged your written communication and also responded to your written communication by saying that they won't be donating that land. You are welcome, if you would like to speak also to the board, to fill out a blue card, which the blue cards are located at the front of the meeting. And then when the time comes for the blue cards, you're welcome to come up and speak to the board as well. So if you want to speak, you'll want to go grab them like post haste, get that going. And then the board chair will give you an opportunity to speak. Well, so I don't think so. Executive session. No, which doesn't.
So I just asked for some clarification. We do have blue cards. If anyone that wishes to speak tonight needs to fill them out. The blue cards that I will be taking comment on right now would be whatever pertains to our agenda tonight. I do have one blue card and it is not pertaining to anything that's on our agenda, but we will address it at the end of the meeting. So, yeah, at the end of the meeting,
Yeah.
just to let you know. It's,
Two times to speak.
It could be a couple hours, so.
That's fine.
We had a long session. We're very glad you're here tonight. Thank you. I just want to be real upfront and how things operate, so, and
Sure.
we're gonna go ahead. Are there any other blue cards? I do see that he's filling one out, and these will be brought up at the end of the meeting.
At the end of it.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. We've got a full agenda, so we need to stay on. So without any other blue cards that pertain to our agenda tonight, we're going to be moving on.
Correct.
Although classified appreciation week was last week, we'd like to take some time right now to recognize and give thanks to all of our classified employees. As we all know, they are the backbone of our schools, and very appreciative of them. And at this time, I'd like to read a proclamation, Classified Appreciation Week. Whereas the education of youth is essential to the future of our community, state, country, and world. And whereas classified employees are the backbone of our public education system. And whereas classified employees work directly with students, educators, parents, volunteers, business partners, and community members. And whereas classified employees support the smooth operation of offices, the safety and maintenance of buildings and property, and the safe transportation, healthy nutrition, and direct instruction of students. And whereas our community depends upon and trusts classified employees to serve students. And whereas classified employees with their diverse talents and true dedication nurture students throughout their school years. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lincoln County School District Board of Directors proclaim to recognize that March 6, 2023 was Classified Employee Appreciation Week. And be it further resolved that the Lincoln County School District Board of Directors strongly encourages all members of our community to join in this observance, recognizing the dedication and hard work of these individuals all year. Adopted this 14th day of March 2022. I think every area did a celebration with their classified, and that's awesome. And
All the school.
some cupcakes were sent to the district
And
office
some cupcakes were eaten.
at the district office. So
Lots and lots.
that was awesome, but
Brought a whole ton of them.
couldn't do it without them.
Thank you so much.
Moving along, next we'll hear some LCA report. Good evening, Ms. Tebow. May the luck of the shamrock be with you.
I know. Nice. Evening, folks. Another month has gone by. It's kind of really nice driving down here today with the gorgeous sun coming off the ocean. You know, and I was driving through the tsunami zones and thinking about all the work in the past that the teachers and the school district has done to make our communities aware of how important it is to pay attention to what the ocean is going to bring to us. You know, teachers do a tremendous job in taking care of what we need to do to help people learn and adapt and grow. So, you know, it's spring break coming up pretty soon, and the teachers need that kind of rest, which is important. Students need the kind of rest. Sports started this week. So overall, I think things are going fairly well. We do have a series of events coming up in the next couple of months called bargaining. So we will be seeing a lot more of each other during that time. We're looking forward to that. As I know you guys are doing your prep work, we're doing our prep work. And so we're looking forward to a good bargain to see how we can continue to grow as a community, a teaching enterprise and a school district. So I think Janice has got some things to say. Thank you.
Janice Fincher, LCA Vice President. Just doing some educator shout outs again. So this time I'm bringing to you Jory Bowen from YB. She's a first grade teacher. Jory performs in the productions at the Performing Arts Center, and she coordinates field trips for YB students, and they think other schools as well to attend the productions. This year there was an added complication because the originally scheduled day was on a snow day. But Jory worked to ensure that the trip was rescheduled right away so that the students and teachers had an opportunity to enjoy the Wizard of Oz. They loved it. Amy Lederman, in your point of view again, first grade. She does an amazing job at creating a community in her classroom and supports all students. The person who wrote this says, I have a lot of respect for her creativity, knowledge, and ability. Your point of view is lucky to have her. Jen Torres at Taft Elementary is a fourth grade teacher. Jen is gifted in guiding quiet, struggling learners. She's especially dynamic in breaking down math concepts and phonics. And on the math tip, financial algebra team. So that's Heather Greel down here, Kelsey Hart in the north, Isaac Bass at Newport, and Christina Weber at Toledo High School. They're the financial algebra team this year. And they're doing a stock market game. So students are participating in a stock market game where they get to practice investing. Heather Greel designed a great portfolio for the team to use, and Isaac Bass gave the team lots of helpful advice. Students will leave this class with a better understanding of investment strategies due to this team's hard work. And then our last one is Sherman. I want to say Pike.
Yes,
That's
Pike.
right. All right. He's strapping people. Sherman creates deep relationships with his students and their families, and he's done that for the last few years. He holds community circles to create strong connections where students feel safe and loved in his class. When one of his young students tragically died last year, he guided his class through their shared grief. Outside of this, Sherman holds students to high standards for behavior and performance. If they struggle, he lifts them up and provides one-on-one coaching. He attends multiple after-school activities just to show his students that he is there cheering them on. He runs the clock at Gates for the North Area sports team because he believes in his community. When you see him at games, note the number of students who run up to him with a huge smile for a high five or word of encouragement. This man deserves all of our accolades for what he does for our students. Awesome. And that's it for today.
Fabulous.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We love it too.
Love it.
I'm glad. We love it. We love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move into area reports. Here we are. I'm gonna hear from Amy and Steve.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have Mr. Cooper. Go ahead and start.
Nice.
I don't know if I'm on or whatever.
Yeah, he's returned after his
Touched
gap year.
Steve Cooper, assistant principal, athletic director here, Walport High School, middle school. And I get to do something really fun. Ordinarily, I have, some reports on our athletics and sports, but we just started, as Peter had said. So not a lot to report other than today's weather was, we were thankful for that. So I wanted to take an opportunity. We have some amazing support staff as it is classified appreciation week last week, but we also wanted to recognize our Sodexo kitchen manager, Stuart. Stuart is an amazing person to have. He connects with our kids and really takes it personal to connect. And he's walking around every single day talking to kids. He's amazing. Walport alum, I believe. That's right. And then our custodial staff, we have Trini and Joseph, and those guys are hopping all day long, no matter what the issue is. They just are so accessible to the kids and staff, so responsive. We super appreciate those folks. We wanted to give a little shout out to first student busing. Busing is probably the most challenging thing. And you know, they used to say, coming out of COVID, we had a shortage of referees. That was going to be difficult. The true test is buses and getting kids to where they need to go. And when we have multiple trips in a day, the magic that they do and the problem solving and collaboration with other areas, it's been fantastic. And then, of course, our classified appreciation week was last week, and we celebrated our classified with, root beer floats and pastries and snacks and just cards and letters to let them know how critical they are for us, for kids, for the whole operation. We just could not do it without them. You notice when one of them has gone faster than if I was out for a day. They do a lot. But I wanted to give out appreciation and thank you and a little bit of education for our Walport Booster Club. So we have a tremendous booster club. They're very active. Recently worked at the Seafood and Wine Festival. They're selling flower baskets right now online. We've had online auctions. These volunteers of their own time work tirelessly to fund opportunities for our kids. They're funding middle school track right now in its entirety, from the coaches' salaries to the equipment. They just approved a $30,000 purchase for new hurdle carts, shot puts that don't rust on the coast. I mean, they're amazing. We have new uniforms on our baseball and softball kiddos, thanks to them. We're working on volleyball for the next year as part of a 4-year cycle for uniform replacement. They hosted our winter season awards banquet. It's just endless. And, I don't know if I've heard the word no when there's a need. They're there. So we are super appreciative of our boosters and very proud of them as well.
Great,
Celebrations.
What was that?
You get to do celebrations.
Oh, I'm in celebrations too.
Mhm.
All right.
It's all the good stuff.
I see I get the fun stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, we are celebrating our Oregon Regional Teacher of the Year, Heather Grill, who's also become national board certified this year. Heather's a tremendous leader in our school, runs a lot of our professional development. She's a go-to for not only other staff members, but kids. They all rely on Heather's expertise, and then she is so willing to mentor and help and do whatever she can. So we congratulate Heather. We recently, along with Toledo, hired not along with Toledo, but we got the Europe grant along with Toledo. And so we hired our new coordinator. He started this week, Jack Booth, and super excited about the work that he's going to do. And his onboarding this week has been great. And a big celebration for us that we talk a lot and we take a lot of pride in is our on-track rate to graduate is over 95%.
Yes.
It takes Army and part of that Army is those classified folks that we were talking about earlier. They take a lot of that work very personal, and we're very proud of that.
Incredible.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Super proud of them. And with that, for our school improvement plan, talking about their on-track rate. So at semester, I looked at where we're at with our school goals. So we were at over 95% last year for on track. At semester, we have a largest class at 62. Most of our other classes are around about 35 to 40. They were sitting at 94% on track, which was really exciting, especially with them being a large class. So we're hoping that we can exceed that 95%. We're always striving for 100. Our attendance has gone up this year. We've been working a lot on our tier 1 with our attendance and our weekly academic and attendance eligibility. Our goal for Walport Middle School was to increase from 57 to 62%. At semester, we were sitting at 70.5% attendance rate at 90% or better, which is huge for us. Walport High School, our goal was to increase from 59% to 64%. And after the first semester, we were sitting at 65%. So we're right there. I'm hoping, you never know, spring fever will happen, but we're hoping to keep that maintained and go. Our Walport weekly academic and attendance eligibility has helped track our students. We track them every week on Monday. If they're 90% or better, as long as they're passing, if they have 2 or more Fs, they're ineligible for the week, but they can, like that day, they can go meet with their teacher, make up their assignment and become eligible. So it's really holding the kids accountable to keep their grades up and holding the teachers accountable to keep their grade books up as well. So it's been very beneficial this year, and we plan on continuing that. As far as teacher professional development, I am most excited about our CEL work we've been doing. We've been working with Jen, and just this last week, we had all our PLC leads. Karen was there, Miley's, Aaron and Tiana and Amy Bryant, Dominic Sharp, Heather Grill, and I, and we met all day and worked on where we're at with our PLC. We really looked at adaptive versus technical leadership. And then we had our PLC meeting that afternoon, and it was amazing. I get goosebumps thinking about it, but it's really leading our work in other areas as well, of really thinking about being authentic and adaptive with what we're doing. We are focusing on our teacher learning and our teacher practices. One of my teachers has a quote that we tend to want to just slap a strategy on it, but we really need to look at our art and craft of teaching and what that looks like. So that's what our teachers are working on while using the resources of AVID, PBIS, High School Success, and equity work. This April, I'll be attending the Gear Up conference with 9 other people. OCCC is actually attending with us as well, building that partnership. So we have a ton of classified and certified staff attending. So I'm super excited to find out what all Gear Up is and what it can do for Walport. And then in a couple of weeks over spring break, I'll be traveling to Washington, D.C. for the National School Leaders Advocacy Conference with my Elise. So that will be new for me and looking at where that's at. And then this summer, we'll be going to the AVID Summer Institute. I think there's like 8 of us going. So we're super excited. Lots of good things. And 3 more months. It's kind of scary, but it's coming quick. So, and without further ado, I have Shay and Cassidy and Mrs. Brown here. They're going to talk to you about all the wonderful things our student leadership is doing. They've been phenomenal. They were Gold Star last year. And so they're going to tell you about all their goals and what they've accomplished and where they're going to end the rest of the year. You ready? Or sorry, do you guys introduce them? Or do I introduce them?
You can introduce them. That's
Okay,
fine.
there you go.
Thank you for your wonderful report.
Thank you, Steve.
Good evening.
Good
Welcome.
evening.
Hi,
Welcome.
Thanks for coming tonight.
thank you. My name is Shay, as Ms. Durbin introduced me. I'm a senior here at Wilmore High School. I have attended for about 3 years now, and I had the amazing opportunity to be a part of leadership this year. So I'm going to start off with the OASC Fall Conference that I attended this year. We went to Seaside, we traveled to Seaside. And my main focus was to focus on substance abuse and how we can battle that here at Lincoln County School District. And also mental health. So for starters, we have the I Can Help. We have these little cards that I believe you guys have as well. They were laminated in these little baggies. Basically, this is focused on how you can prevent something happening at your school. You see something, say something. This was founded by the people of, or the victims of the Sandy Hook issue. But we also want to focus on mindfulness at Walport High School. So here we are at substance abuse prevention, working with our district nurse and SRO to collect information, educate ourselves, and educate our peers. Focus on student issues, taking feedback and problem solving, encouraging student ownership and pride. Reporting, saying something if you see something, anonymous reporting form, battling cyberbullying and fake accounts. We also hope to improve our systems overall to ensure that all students' leadership events are fun, equitable, positive, and of the highest quality that we can achieve. For spring conference, student leadership recognition, we have achieved the gold ranking last year and are working to maintain that standing by revising and revamping our student constitution. We've been working on doing that very diligently. Rebuilding and reconstructing a student council model that works for WHS. Continuing the work we've done to represent all student voices and build a positive school culture, which is very important with any high school, middle school, anywhere. Personally, I have been working very hard at prom. It is scheduled for May 6th at the Embarcadero Fireside Room. I went around the school asking the seniors and juniors about what would be like 2 different themes, try and kind of bring them together, figure out what we would like most, and we decided on the Twilight Garden Masquerade. And now I will hand it over to Cassidy.
Thank you. I'm Cassidy Huffman. I am a freshman here at Wellport High, and I just have an update on some of our clubs going on. Recently, our forestry team traveled to Sweet Home and took first place. The music attended the choir festival at Lynn Benton Community College today, as well as our symphonic band performing at the West Albany High School on the 21st of this month. For art this year, we are offering APU studio art class, and students are working on their sustained investigation while commercial art has been working on products for the community and other high school programs. Drama just concluded auditions for their new production, Clue. Practices have begun on that. And our D&D or Dungeons of Dragons Club meets every Wednesday with 3 campaigns running concurrently. At this time, there are 2 advisors for that club and 20 members. And finally, the NHS collected blankets through the month of January for the houseless and has distributed hot cocoa to their peers as an act of kindness and is currently building a backdrop for students to take pictures of.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And wonderful report. Been feeling a lot.
Nailed it.
Incredible.
Nailed it.
Good evening, Kim.
Hello.
Get their financial report.
Yes.
I've updated the financial reports as of February 28th. On the general fund revenue and expenditure summary, I've updated ADM. We are holding very steady there. We're at 5103. We budgeted at 5102. So holding steady. Not much I want to point out on this one, but if we go to the next page, the monthly comparison, you can see taxes are coming in about as expected. Interest rates, as you know, are continuing to climb, so you'll see an increase there. With the fees charged to grants, that is always based on the expenditures of that particular month. And remember, the projections are based on a 6-year average, so there will be some fluctuation there. And we did receive our county school fund payment, which also includes state timber. We had expected that in January or December, and we just got it in February. So you'll see that on 2 different line items. Any questions on that piece?
Just a quick check on my own understanding, Kim. On the local revenue, it's at 44.4 million, right? And what that means is if we, on this, on the first.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. If we collect more local revenue, that just means our state's school fund dollars are gonna be less. Correct?
Yes, that's
Right.
correct.
Yeah. So that's always kind of a wash.
Mhm.
Right.
And I haven't adjusted the totals for the revenue that we collected. You kind of have to wait until we get our third payment to see really, where that's at for the year.
And do they address that kind of on the run? You know what I mean, like, will they be aware of what we're getting in local revenue? The state?
They adjust the state school fund 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
They were going to adjust it this month, but because they had some changes in ADMW around the state, they waited. And so we're going to get our same payment for March,
Okay,
but they'll adjust it in April.
okay,
I am able to update the local revenue only once or twice a year. If there's a huge swing, then I can call them and ask to update it. But otherwise, they only update it a couple times a
okay,
year.
okay. And I just had a question about the ending fund projected balance,
Mhm.
13.1.
Yeah.
Now, the board has set by policy a 7%.
It's about 5.
So you can see that set aside in the unappropriated funds under expenditures, the very last line there, that 4.892. So about $5 million of that ending fund balance has to be set aside and cannot be spent this year.
Okay, so that leaves $8 million that
Yes.
there's kind of like savings from other funds that came in through, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that balance is built up because of the pandemic, because we were unable to fill a lot of our positions.
Okay.
And because we've got the ESSER grants, the COVID grants, we're able to spend those on things that sometimes would normally be spent out of general fund. Plus, it's an accumulation of
Yeah,
of
over a
3
couple of
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear about my
Yeah.
understanding on that money.
And all of that money will be budgeted. See that one.
Yeah, it'll be budgeted, and the board's 7% ending fund balance policy also requires that you look at upcoming risks, expenditures that are going to be coming up in the general fund. You can keep some of that back in the general fund like we did in contingency. We've got $3.7 million in contingency
Okay,
in case ADM drops significantly, or, we have other things so that we can actually spend that out of the general fund. Everything else has to go to a special revenue fund because it's one-time money and you can't base salaries.
yeah,
80%, well, 85% of our budget is contracts
yeah.
and payroll. And, those are fixed,
Okay.
pretty well fixed costs. And so you can't use one-time monies to pay for those. It's not sustainable.
I think that's a really important point for the board to understand that
Mhm.
that has a very directed use within
Right.
our budget cycle.
Yes.
So, okay,
Yeah, most of our money is restricted.
yeah.
It's not-
Yeah, and our general fund pays for our general education expenses. Like I said, 85% of that is contracts and payroll. And we need to be able to live within our state school fund budget for those expenses.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're just creating a hole a bigger hole every year as you
I
do
just-
that.
Yeah. I just have to say, I'm looking forward to going through the budget process with you again. That,
So much.
well, just.
Something new to learn.
Look, there's a lot for me to learn still, so I appreciate everything that you've provided last year, and I'll be attending. So,
There's
yeah,
a lot of
no,
moving
it's
parts, so
Yeah, we have a new budget member, so.
yeah, well, I'll be there.
I'll be scheduling that training.
I
soon.
always learn from.
Yeah.
Kim.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Kim.
Sure. So page 3 is the purchase services monthly comparison. Again, this is general fund only. And this is the 300 objects, our purchase services. So the notes I wanted to point out, note H, you can see there's quite a jump there. That's because 185,000 of that is our payments to ESS for our subs. That includes January and February invoices. So we're caught up on those. And then on I, we paid the extra labor invoices that are aside from our monthly contracted services, the additional custodial that they provide for us. Those invoices were received late. So we got those for December and January. We have not paid one for that particular thing for February yet. And then J, those two line items were significantly higher as well. Part of that was the centennial postcards that were mailed out to everybody. And then the copier expenses reflect January and February's bills. Any questions on that one? The page 4 is our special revenue funds. And I want to remind everybody that the ones with the 3 asterisks are reimbursement grants. And so we spend the money and then we ask the state for reimbursement. On the very first one, special revenues and grants, is 2.4 million, and the whole lot of that is our ESSER grants. And we have made a recent claim for that. So you'll see that come a little more positive next month. The musical instruments fund has about $222,000 that's been committed for the rest of the year. I think we're about done with our spending there. You can see there's a few encumbrances, things that have been ordered that haven't yet been received. On page 5, our food services fund, we have been, we've paid Sodexo through the January invoice and we've gotten receipts through November. There's a 1 to 2 month lag in the receipts from ODE, always on that fund. So we've got about 4 months of reserves right now. We're allowed to keep 3, have 3 at the end of the year. Of course, we've got upgrades, kitchen upgrades and equipment upgrades that we'll be doing with some of that money, but we're allowed to keep 3 months worth. So we'll be in a good place with that at the end of the year. Our technology fund, you'll notice I encumbered $1.3 million. That is just the amount that was reserved to be spent for next year so that the people spending that fund could see what's left for this year, which is about $386,000. On the PERS bond debt service account, you see there's $13 million there. We'll be making payments in June of about $5 million. So we've got about $8 million in reserves there to pay off our PERS bonds. That's a little high. And part of that's because we've had increased spending with our ESSER funds. So we charge that against all payroll in order to pay those bonds off. So we're going to lower that rate this coming year, and that's going to help offset some of our budget deficit in the general fund.
We're going to talk a lot about that.
Well, we will, yeah.
Because we have a PERS rate that needs to increase.
But you'll notice those balances go up quite a bit throughout the year because we make a payment in December and we make one in June. So the same thing with the general obligation bonds, Fund 330, we'll have a nearly $6 million payment due in June. So we'll end up with about $618,000 ending fund balance that will, I usually budget extra so that in case the tax payments don't come in for some reason, when they should, that we have enough money in that account to make the December payment. That's it on that. On bills and claims, you can see just our monthly contracted services. There are several lines for professional development. It's been happening. We purchased the Chromebooks for the student Chromebook refresh that was approved by the board recently. Those came in a lot quicker than we had anticipated. So it's good to have those in-house so that tech can start getting those set up in plenty of time for next school year. And then down towards the bottom, Woodcraft of Eugene, we bought saws for Newport High, Walport High, and Taft High School, and Pace is paying 34% of that invoice. So that's good to have that good safe equipment, brand new saws. Any questions on those? And the last one is the investment report. You can see the interest rate is still going up, and we have received notice that it will be going up again. So continues to climb. That's good for us. I wanted to note that I'm going to bring to the board. bank with Oregon Coast Bank. And we've suspended that requirement to every 5 years go out for an RFP for banking. I really would like to continue with Oregon Coast Bank. 2 local banks have recently either been bought out or merged with other banks. So I think it would be prudent to stay with Oregon Coast Bank. Miley Tolan and I will be meeting with the bank president on Monday so that she can meet him.
And that will be a 5-year. So that's be a 5-year.
It's typically a 5-year. I think we'll just go with another year at the board's will, whatever you would prefer. We're real happy with their services and I'll bring that to the board next month, but I just wanted to mention that we are meeting with them next Monday. Anything else?
How many questions for Kim tonight?
Well, I just noticed the investment account was 200 and some percent higher than what was anticipated at the beginning of the budget cycle last year. It's an extra $350,000. Does that sound right?
I haven't looked at it that way.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just on the very first page, on the right hand side.
Okay.
I like those percentages, percent of budget on that column. And you see 216%. That's
That's correct. It's not the balance on the accounts. It's the interest collected.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
more than what we
Yes.
anticipated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because last year we were at like 0.5% and now it's at
Yeah.
3.75.
Yeah, a lot better than
The other way around.
0.75% interest.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good work.
Glad you could keep your voice.
Yeah, barely.
Did everyone see in their packet? We had a really nice first student report. Is there anyone here tonight from first student?
You can see you're in an orange vest.
Hello, come on up. If you wanna, I want to tell you how much I love your report on Triple Charlie. And I don't know if you guys took time to read it, but just the checkout that they do at the end of their run to make sure that no one fell asleep on the bus.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Triple
some of
Charlie.
these things we
Triple
just
Charlie.
kind of take for granted. But this is something you do every day, and then you celebrated it with a cake, coffee, and chicken noodle soup.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. You guys have had a really rough month.
We certainly did. We had lots of early mornings,
Yes.
3 a.m.
If
and
Eddie's calling me at 5:15, I know that you were on the road at 3:15. So I didn't tell you if I answered.
yeah, we get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, roam the roads and see what's going on and make our recommendations to Rich, and then we get the word back and the decision will be made whether or not we're running or not. So it's always hit and miss with the weather reports.
Well,
And-
when you have this big account, well, as we all know, it can be completely different from one. day to the
Absolutely.
next.
Absolutely. And then we get the phone calls, why, there's nothing on the road, but yeah, we do. We can't run in the east most of the time. And parents then understand when they hear our explanations and then later see the Facebook postings and they're okay. But, and oftentimes we run into the problem that when we have a 5 o'clock or 4:30 run and a decision and a recommendation, come 6 o'clock with the dew point and everything coming up, we can have perfect conditions at 5 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock, like we had on Wednesday, everything flash freezes, and then we're already halfway through the routes and have picked up kids. So there's nothing much that we can do at that point, other than just
That was the one
continue
we got
on.
A little bit of criticism on.
Yeah.
That was an early release day. We don't do 2-hour delays
Yeah.
on an early release day. That makes no sense at all.
Yeah,
Because the kids are being early released, so you're not gonna do a 2-hour delay when they're already going home. And we didn't have a problem. And then at 6 o'clock, there was a problem. So
yeah,
I like the fact that Darlene is explaining our process. For the most part, people are very supportive of our process. I'm gonna talk about it later on in my superintendent's report. But we go through actually more of a process than even what Darlene is saying, because Darlene talks to Rich, who talks to Susan, who talks to Susan, other Susan, who talks to Maya Elise, who talks to Karen when she's up. I mean, we have an entire process.
Yep.
We look at various weather reports. We look at previous weather reports. We get weather briefings from the EOC. So it isn't a simple decision. When we make a decision to close for a school day is painful. And at some point, we get to the point where, like Rich will say to me, Darlene says she doesn't want to put the buses on. And you know, that's what we pay Darlene for. And then she got her little minions up in all corners of the rafters of this county. And she calls them in the morning and she says, hey, you, how's it going out there? Hey, you, how's it going out there? And she gathers for intel. Then she gets in the car and she roams around and she can get out of her house.
Yep, yeah.
And, you know, which is really hard to do. So it's not just one person talking to another person, or sometimes I'm facetious and I feel like saying, yeah, we just close our eyes and take a dart and throw it at the board. That's not how we make these decisions. And so to close for a snow day is painful for a school district. And if we have enough snow days, we have to call the days back at the end of the year and have people come back to work after the school year is over. So these are very important. They're safety first. They're very important decisions and they're not made lightly. So they're not made by one person.
The decision that was to continue on Wednesday, I support that one, because we were already on the road. We already had half of our kids on the buses. And I told Rich, we're going to keep on going. We have our on-spot chains. The kids were like, you have something hanging down underneath your bus. Like, nope, those are our chains. Those keep us safe. And we made it. We had a few delays, not very many. I think the longest delay that we had was 30 minutes. That was it. And then an hour later, the roads were clear again.
Decisions up and down.
Yep.
Up and down. We have made good decisions. We've had 2 snow days, February 23rd and 24th. We've had 2 partial days of the 2-hour delay, and we've run snow routes. Every single time the decisions were made using everything that we have. And thank the Lord, every time we have come out safe.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Thank you for the teamwork. I appreciate
Thank you
that.
for the teamwork. We really appreciate you.
So, and Triple Charlie is really something that we do after every run, AM, PM, mid.
I love it.
Any other?
I always look forward to your news.
Thank
Really,
you.
really informative and it really has a lot of heart,
Yes.
you know, and that's, yeah. As a Darlene.
True.
Any other
Anybody have any
questions?
questions for Darlene? Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks
you're
for coming
welcome.
on. You can go home. Go home.
Thank you. I have a route tomorrow
And
morning.
you live here.
I live a little bit up 34, yeah, so it's not too far. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, nutrition services report. We have a written report, and I see Patty in the audience. Patty, I love this report. I did write a question in my my little notes. How is this distributed out? It's so cute. Does it go home with each kid? The newsletter? Yeah.
So if Patty's going to speak, she needs to come to the table.
Oh, sorry.
We don't speak to the gallery. So come on up. It's part of our rules.
Sorry.
No worries.
I
I'm sorry.
just want to see.
Come
your
before
face.
the glass. You love us.
So no, it's not distributed. We haven't printed it and sent it out. It is posted on the website for people to see it, and really it comes to the board.
What's your special event on Saturday?
We're having Future Chef on Saturday. Starts at 9 a.m. It's over at about 1:32. We have some amazing recipes. We have some amazing kids from kindergarten through the 5th grade. And they're excited. I'm getting phone calls daily, not just from the students, but from their parents as well, just making sure that everything is perfect for, you know, their child. And it's a really fun and exciting day. It's a lot of work to get up to that day, but all the chef coats are here. I will shop for all of the food on Friday morning. We'll set up Friday night at Newport Middle and we'll roll on Saturday morning. So
Well, you always make it fun.
It's been a good, it is fun. It's one of those things that I look forward to every year. So,
And it's
Yeah.
back.
and it's back, yeah, and we're excited. So,
I'm back to your newsletter because I really like it. It's really well done.
it's a labor of love with Jamie and Sarah Gibson from the school garden, and that's our new logo that is on there for the school district's food service program.
All right.
And we have t-shirts now that are all made, and that'll be our logo going forward.
I love it. Is there any way our communications person could put this up? I really.
I think she gets a copy of it for it to go onto the website.
I just think more people need to see it. Because people want to see what those gardens are doing and
Yeah.
what kind of food. they're
Yeah, garden
serving.
something.
We were kind of like the talk, we just went to OSNA, and every time our conversation was, how do you have a full-time food, garden coordinator in your food service program? And what can we do to be part of that, and make that happen in ours? And then there was a lot of good feedback and a lot of good conversations on just how we do what we're doing and how we could maybe help other people do what they're doing. So I think Jamie and I have both been asked to talk to which it's the garden, the state garden coordinator, farm to school network, and talk to them about how food service management companies and school districts work together to bring this about. So yeah, it'll be a podcast.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
That's really
You're doing great work.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just,
Great things going on.
yeah,
So,
I think it's great to share with everyone what your successes. So,
great. Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much. Okay. I'd like to welcome OCTC.
Yes.
Get a reasons here.
Yes, Dr. Brigitte Reisling and Dan Clara. And I so apologize that there was a moment where Chair Martin asked if I had introductions. I didn't see you back there. I was so embarrassed that I didn't introduce you. So,
Not at all. And
so happy.
yeah, we are no grander or greater than your wonderful staff behind you here, and I just appreciate your time. So we are here, Dan and I, this evening to just share information about our upcoming bond measure, and we're doing outreach throughout the community, and this is an informational presentation, not an advocacy presentation, but we want everyone to know what it is that we're doing and why we think it's so important for Lincoln County, this investment in education. So
Go ahead.
next slide. Yeah. So Oregon Coast Community College, like the school district, has been thinking about different options for students for quite a while, right? And this, I think we're united in this emphasis on just more choices for students and more exposure to careers and more options and all of that. And we feel as a college, we've done a good job with that in certain fields. We're so proud of our nursing program, and we started the joint teacher education, Teach at the Beach with the school district. We have early childhood, we have business, we have aquarium science. But one area that we've been lacking in has been in what people think of as the trades, so those applied fields, welding and construction and electrician and all those different areas. And that's been a gap here in this county. And there are absolutely some places to access this, but it is not broad, and it doesn't provide all the options. And I think that I'm not a person to plug people into gender roles, but I am so troubled that in higher education, we are increasingly across the United States and Oregon and Lincoln County seeing a loss of young males. And the enrollment at the college now is about 65, even 70% female. And so what's happening to our young males? And part of it is, I think we're just not offering sufficient amount of options and choices for them. So the challenge with this type of education is you need specialized facilities for it.
And that is what our bond is about. So is to bring a trades education facility to Lincoln County. We've been planning that since 2017 when we secured a state match for that of $8 million. And, but we need to, $8 million doesn't go as far as it used to, which is a terrible thing to say. And we have to match that and do more. And we also need to update our current facilities to ensure they're keeping up with what students' needs are, now and into the future. So we're going forth with this bond in the May election. Could you move the next slide forward? And so that bond will raise $32 million. And we've got some details at the end. It essentially increases the current bond levy rate by 5 cents per thousand of assessed value. So that's a nickel, as we say, which is not a small measure. I mean, anytime we talk about people's property taxes, and we know it's already quite challenging, but for your average home, this is assessed value. We're talking about potentially $20 a year, I think, would be the increase on that. So that would build the trade education facility and address our other buildings. So we're going to help tell you a bit more about what that would look like. So next slide. Thank you. So that is, the typical architect's rendering of a building. What is different or unique about this building compared to the buildings that we have is it's really designed with this industrial trades education in mind. You see there in the back, those are big roll-up doors. That's a truck that's parked out there. That could be, that could be a fire engine. That could be a boat. That could be a lot of different things. The ability to move that in and out of the building. And then inside the building is really where the magic happens in terms of being designed with a very flexible approach to how the space is used. And Dan will show some pictures and examples of that, and we'll talk about some of what we hope will go in the building.
Absolutely. Next slide, Eddie. So as Dr. Reisling indicated, built into the very DNA of a trades education center, which a bond might get passed once every 20 years. And when you design a building, you want to be able to design a building that can change as the needs of your community changes. And so when we're thinking about a flexible space, what we're thinking about is a space that can, as employment opportunities change and student demand changes, and as our industry partners' needs change, we can adapt that space to fit new programs and new programming. So as Dr. Reisling indicated, we're talking about roll-up doors, we're talking about movable electrical drops, we're talking about overhead cranes that can rapidly be adapted to new programming spaces. And really, we're talking about things on wheels. So Eddie, take us to our next slide. These flexible industrial spaces, they blend the what we think of it as the lab environment with the classroom environment. Trainers can be wheeled into that space. Students can be taken out to work on larger equipment. Really, you start to blur that distinction between what is the classroom and what is the laboratory. Eddie, next slide. Successful programs are also flexible in terms of how they accommodate students. They accommodate students by having adaptable hours. Students can schedule time to come in on their schedule, as opposed to we teach this class on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 to 2. Next slide, Eddie. And again, when we say wheels, 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 what you see in this slide is a space that is filled with various trainers that industry has a need for a skill set. Industry partners with the community college finds the faculty, runs the training program, is able to cycle it up. And when industry maybe doesn't need 16 more employees, we select the next program. Go to the next slide, Eddie. So About 50% of the bond proceeds would be aimed at the new Trades Education Center. The other 50% is really aimed at upgrading our existing facilities. And when we built or designed our existing facilities close to 20 years ago, we really weren't cued into school shootings. I hate to say it, but there is a lot of safety upgrades that need to be made at the community college. There's also a lot of technology upgrades that need to be made at the community college. We didn't design this facility with the idea that education could be delivered in a very distributed fashion, depending on the particular discipline that we're talking about. So technology upgrades. We've got a fantastic nursing and allied health program. We've got a four-sided nursing director. There are a lot of opportunities for the college to address the expansion of allied health programs. For instance, the college is looking at an LPN to RN bridge program. We're looking at paramedic to registered nursing programs. We're looking at military fields to RN. And of course, there's this statewide conversation that the college is actively engaged in around the Bachelor of Science in Nursing program that community colleges are potentially maybe able to be offered by community colleges at some point in the future. There's upgrades to the North Center. They may include a community kitchen, a new generator, FM station. Next slide, Eddie. Within the Skilled Trades Center, again, depending on employment opportunities and student interest and industry needs, programs that are currently being considered are within welding, maritime technical programs, mechanical and electrical, troubleshooting, installation and repair, emergency response, construction trades. And we know that there is a need for childcare within our community. That's why the community college, in partnership with Lincoln County School District, started the early childhood education program. One possible opportunity would be in looking at an early childhood learning lab, possibly being based in Newport. We're exploring the feasibility of that. We're exploring options for South County that include visual and digital arts, as well as business, emergency preparedness and enhancements at all of the sites. We're looking at expanding the welding program in Toledo, in addition to the new facility. We're also looking at leveraging our expertise in aquarium science to expand into other areas of aquaculture and mariculture. Ultimately, kind of what goes into these areas, as I mentioned, will be determined by community needs and community conversations with our partners going forward.
The last couple of slides are about the levy itself and some technical aspects, and that is all available on our website, so I won't go into that. But what I do want to say is I know that the board is well aware of the year-over-year commitment that we have had to jointly do programming between the school district and the community college, particularly in the area of career technical education and early credit for students while they're still in high school and access to that. So the vision that, Karen and I, when I first met her, we were talking about this center and the idea that students would be coming, high school students would be coming in and access to this. And in a rural community like this, we don't have hundreds of thousands of a population base. So we need to do these things together, and it's a wonderful opportunity. So we would continue to do what we've done, which is, we're at a point now when the school district is thinking about, well, what area of CTE are we going to expand in, or the college. One of the first places that we talk about that is in our monthly meetings, and we really look at designing the curriculum and all of that. So we want to create these smooth, attractive, enhancing, exciting pathways that start in the K-12 and go through community college and then on to transfer or employment and do all of that together. So we're very excited, and we think that this is something that will be a benefit to, oh, wait, I'm advocating, never mind. But we do have a political action committee, and we have some wonderful folks that can come out at any point. We're doing community forums. They'll be starting next, let's see, March 30th. So Thursday nights, that information. So we're doing in Newport and Lincoln City and Walport and one in Toledo out by the welding labs. So we really want to engage the community and let them know what this is about. So, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing. It's a great presentation. You know, our partnership is so important. Our school to OCCC.
yeah.
And it was everything that we envisioned OCC to be when it first came around. I've been there forever, I remember. And you're making it happen. So I wish you all the best.
I want to give one little, the way that we ended up doing CNA, so certified nursing assistant together, is what got us thinking about these flexible programs that we can spin up and bring in and out depending on what the enrollment demand is. So we work with the school district, and the school says, you know, this year, we think we have 6 high school students that want to do CNA. And then we do sort of an on-demand cohort for that. And then we may not do it the next term or, you know, that. So it's really about student interest, and do we have available faculty to teach it and all of that. And we can apply that same model. And normally in rural communities, you're sort of limited as a student. It's like, well, we can afford to do welding, but we can't do this other thing, you know. So this is a different way of thinking about it. And we're also very lucky to have very supportive industry partners, you know, like the hospitals, like the Port of Toledo. I know there's others out there that want to do this work with us. So we're excited.
Wonderful.
Thanks for
Thank
sharing.
you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And next we'll hear from the report with Children's Institute. Good evening. Thank you. We've been looking forward to this all night.
Good evening. We're excited to be here. I wanted also to let you know, on Zoom tonight, I have our new early learning coordinator, Diane Wilkinson, is with us tonight. She couldn't be here in person, but she's on Zoom. So she has taken the position that Lauren Sigmund previously ran for us. So also I have with us tonight Erin Lolich from the Children's Institute, and she has some of her colleagues online that she'll introduce as well. So Erin.
Yes, we have a welcome from, or a hello from our CEO.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
We can, Kali.
Okay. I cannot see all of you but very well, but it's good to see you from a distance. I do recognize Superintendent Gray. It's a pleasure. I see you. Hello. It's a pleasure to be able to do this work with Lincoln County. And I just want to say that I know that there's a lot happening in the district, and we are so appreciative that you have prioritized early learning as a key priority for your district. And that all of you as staff and families understand the importance of this work, the importance of equity and opportunity that a focus on early childhood brings. I had the privilege of being out in Southern Oregon today at a small community called Yoncalla, which is in Douglas County area. And this community talked about how much early childhood focus, it's another community Children's Institute has worked with, how it transformed over the period of a decade, the way their elementary school functions, the way the middle school functions, and the way the high school functions, that the focus on child development and the work of young children has a ripple effect that can be felt throughout the district and can be felt by families, and it was really catalytic. So I'm excited. I think that similar to Yoncalla, you have a district where there's commitment, where there's energy, where there's agency from families and staff to support children. And I think that's where transformation begins, and we see children thriving in that space. So thank you for being partners in this work. We're a very small part of what you do every day, but grateful to be in this work with you.
Thank you, Carly.
And I'm sorry, I'm supposed to also introduce my colleague Karen Twain, who is our program director at Children's Institute.
Thanks, Cully. I wish we could all be there in person, but representing us is Erin Lolich, who I hope you all know and love by this point. And she's going to be doing the presentation in person, and Cully and I will remain on for questions at the end.
Right. So we could have the slideshow in this.
And my friend and partner in this work, Dr. Katie Barrett, needs no introduction, but I just want to acknowledge her and what an asset she is to this work, and I know to your district. All right, here we go. Slide 2, please. Always fingers crossed, right? Yes. Well, thank you so much for having our team and for making the space for early learning in the agenda tonight. Our purpose this evening is to share with you what we know about the critical nature of early learning, and to brief you on the partnership that we've developed over the past 1.5 years with your school district, and to share the amazing work your teachers and your principals are doing at Crestview Heights. Shout out to Sandy Battles, who I saw in the crowd this evening, and Toledo Preschool and Elementary, and to ensure that early learning is high quality and that preschool and the early grades of elementary are really well connected. We hope to continue this work with you in the coming years and scale it to other elementary schools in your district. Next slide, please. The Children's Institute is a nonprofit. We've been around for 20 years, and we're focused on research, practice, policy, and advocacy for Oregon's youngest learners. And the way that we think we do that best is when we partner with schools and we learn alongside our schools as we promote policy and practice across our state. 3 years ago, Lincoln County School District applied to be part of our Early School Success Grant, and that was a competitive statewide process. And ultimately, we selected 2 school districts to participate in our rural early school success work. And Lincoln County was selected as one of those districts for a number of reasons, and those include a long-term commitment and investment that you've made in early learning. It's also because you've had a focus on inclusion of children with special needs, particularly in your preschools in your school district. It's because of your commitment to equity. It's because of your strong leadership. And it's because you are invested and excited about making sure that that preschool and early learning is aligned to the early grades of elementary. So for those reasons and probably many more, you are selected for this grant. The brain development that happens between birth and 9 years old is just amazing. What we have up here is just one slide that shows the tremendous and rapid growth that happens in the brain, but you can look at any brain development research and probably be wowed, as I am every time, at just how much children grow in those early years. And yet, in the state of Oregon, we don't require school until children are 6 years old. So the investment that your school district has made in 3, 4, and 5-year-olds is just, it's so powerful. I mean, you are changing the trajectory of children's brains and hence their lives. So I hope you feel really good about the investments that you've made. Next slide, please. So the focus of our grant is about aligning early learning and K-12, and that term alignment can be kind of confusing sometimes. So we'll try and unpack what we mean by that a little bit. But we think that making sure that that alignment is solid really makes a difference for children and families. And there are a number of reasons for that. When families know how schools work before kindergarten starts, it just makes everything easier for everybody, right? For families, for children, and for educators. That's even easier when preschools and elementaries are co-located on the same campus. But even when we don't have that opportunity, there's still a lot we can do to strengthen relationships. And when we do that early, we know that trust really builds, and there's better communication that should continue throughout the early grades. Now for kids, when they know what to expect in preschool and in the early grades, when they know what the routines are, that frees up their working memory. And that gives them the space to develop other skills like error processing, like behavioral control, like processing emotions. It also leaves more space for early literacy and math and civics and science. So when those routines and expectations are consistent and systems are consistent, it just gives us a chance to really focus on the brain development and the learning aspects of school. And that learning, when it's aligned, those benefits continue into upper grades, into graduation and beyond. So this slide I call the bossy slide. We have a little advice for school board members, just based on the partnerships we have with school districts across the state of Oregon. There are things that we see that school boards do that really support early learning. And so I know that you are doing many of those because you've made these long-term investments in early learning, but just wanted to name some of the things that school boards can do to support early learning. By making it visible. So talking about it really helps. Visiting preschools really helps. Being on budget committees and prioritizing early learning and budget committees really helps. Adding it to your strategic plan, making it a pillar of your strategic plan. Those are all ways to show support for early learning and help message it in the community. The other thing that I think is really important to talk about is just how that early investment continues and pays off over time. And I always liken it to compounding interest. If you start early, it just makes it so much easier for the investment to grow over time. And the other piece is just the alignment. So the consistency of procedures, routines, communication, and curriculum really support learners in social emotional learning and in their academic aims. So I invite you to think about your messages about early learning, and is there maybe a new message that you can share with the community? I'll turn it over to Dr. Barrett.
Okay, so let's talk specifically about what we're doing here in Lincoln County with early learning. We have preschools in all 4 areas of our district, which is very exciting. Our programs include preschool promise slots, community slots, we have teen parenting, and then we have our LEAP program, which are our inclusion slots. So it's funded through general fund preschool promise. We have some kindergarten partnership and innovation funds. We also have from ODE, the Jumpstart Kindergarten Fund, which helps fund our summer lift program every year, which is our transition program from preschool to kindergarten. We also have our Oregon Early Childhood Inclusion Initiative, and we have an inclusion demonstration at Taft 712. So in our program itself, our numbers have increased from the teens to over 50% of students identified with special needs being served in an inclusion community setting, which is fantastic because it not only helps our students with special needs have that experience, but it also helps their typical peers gain empathy and work with students that have differing needs than what they have. So our early learning program started in the North and West areas over 20 years ago, as you know, and we just in the last few years have expanded to the East and the South counties. Our preschools did start as CTE labs, and we're starting to see that shift to be more of a true preschool, a true place of early literacy, of early learning, where children are more than just a lab. They now have that early learning preschool experience, which also still benefits our high school students that are learning to work with younger children, but also looking through that lens of early learning, not just through that secondary CTE lens, which is really important. My personal goal is to move all of our preschools into our elementary schools. Currently, our only preschool in an elementary is right here in Waldport, where our little wee Irish are in a classroom in Crestview Heights. So we'll be looking in the future towards moving more and more of our preschools into that kindergarten setting or kindergarten, that elementary setting, so that they are close to kindergarten classrooms. They're in the schools where they will attend kindergarten and have that transition be smoother as they're part of the community.
And what are your plans, Dr. Barrett? Sure.
Well, our plans are in work right now. I hate to speak too soon, but we are looking at moving 2 more preschools in the near future into elementary schools, which I'm very excited about. So we're still in the planning stages of that. So when that becomes a set thing, we will definitely let the board know, but I am very excited that is in that very close plan. It is important, as Erin mentioned, to have them in the elementary schools where they'll go to school. We have the 2 partner schools that are working with Children's Institute. One is at Crestview, right here at Crestview Heights, and their current focus is around restorative practices. So you'll see students taking part in circles, using structured routines to practice communication, to resolve conflicts, and promote well-being among all students. And in our Toledo preschool, the current focus is on inclusion. Our kindergarten through 2nd grade, along with our preschool, are working on morning greetings and really diversified morning greetings. So they're doing morning greetings in different languages that are found in the schools. As Toledo becomes more and more diverse, they're wanting to be a welcoming place for all students. So learning those greetings in different languages. They're also practicing social skills and oral language development and building community while they're doing all of those things. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have a vision. We do have a district level team that comes together and works, and that's Children's Institute helps facilitate. So we look at that future vision of early learning in our district. So we did in May of last year come up with this draft of our team's golden vision for early learning, where we do want that high quality aligned preschool through 6th grade through 12th grade, aligned through Oregon Coast Community College post K-12 experience for our kids. That starts at the youngest ages. So it really is another place where we need that extended day opportunity more than just the few hours of preschool, because as mentioned earlier by Dan, we are a daycare desert here. So we do need those opportunities for families to have a place for their preschoolers for the entire day. So we also offer that extended day to families. We also need early learning teachers to become part of our certified staff, and that's a state level goal for early learning, because we do need to see these valuable educators to have the opportunity to be certified just like our K-12 teachers are. They're working with our youngest learners. And so being able to have the opportunity for the professional development and the training that they need, and for us to be able to retain our high quality preschool teachers as well. So our outcomes for Lincoln County early school success, we really are focusing on collaboration between the early learning teachers and our K-2 teachers is our focus right now in both Toledo and Crestview. These teams of teachers are just amazing. The things that small change ideas that they're coming up with. What I think is just one of the most powerful pieces of this collaboration is our elementary teachers are viewing our preschool teachers as the authorities of early learning. And some of the very early change ideas are actually ideas that are coming out of the preschool that our K-2 teachers saw as something important for them to implement in their classrooms. So our earlier change idea in both Toledo and Crestview came from that early learning side first. And so that strong collaboration together where they're seen as peers and colleagues that are working together for our children is very, very powerful. And is actually lifting up the confidence of our early learning teachers as well, because they are being seen as the teachers of early learners, and they have something to share with our K-2 teachers as well. So do you have any questions for us?
Anyone have any questions?
I just have a comment. As you're both presenting your information. I'm sure everyone on the board is just super enthusiastic. We want to extend whatever we can do. And that's just confirmed. I'm watching Sandy battles in the background, just
Pretty
not
excited.
at everything you guys are saying. You know, she's got the experience on the ground and, wow, Sandy wants it. That she sees it being super successful. I love what you said about if those 3 to 5 year olds understand the routines, they can just kind of park that, they understand that, and then they can spend their time getting ready for reading and numeracy and all those other skills that we want them to have an advantage at when they're in K3, K5. So love it.
Being able to partner with an organization like the Children's Institute was a dream of mine when I was a superintendent in Portland. We just never quite hit it right, you know, to be able to get to work with the Children's Institute. But we got to watch the work, and being able to be selected to work with you and the high level of professionalism, intellect, and expertise that the Children's Institute brings to this work is an honor for Lincoln County School District. And you're very patient. We work really, really well with people. Marina does too. That's another one of the practitioners that we work with. And the patience that you've had to really kind of walk us through with Dr. Barrett's work has really been outstanding, because Crestview Heights and Toledo Elementary School have changed since we started working with you. That's the power of the Children's Institute. So I just feel like there's nothing but good things to come. Cradle to career, that's who we are. We're cradle to career. So the more that we can get our families involved, because you put the families involvement, the community's involvement, and equity at the center, who is the furthest from justice, that's really important to Lincoln County School District. So I just want to commend you for the work that you're doing, both of you, and to Karen Twain and to Colleen Ladd. You know, what an honor it is to work with you.
Well, thank you so much. We're here to make dreams come true, mostly for children, but also for you, Dr. Gray.
If I may.
I just I have a comment. I think the hero in this program is standing there in the corner, which one? When I was working with families who were homeless, this is how this got marvelous, and he'll close down a school and I would be right behind him and say, "Can I have the key, please?" And he would give me a key. And I would go pick up families with children, and they said, "I can't have preschool." So I said, "That's all right. We're having a playbook." So every school in Lincoln County, what they give me is an office, I turn it into a playbook. And it's really, I'm a believer if we serve who as a child and identify them and serve them, the rest of the community will benefit. And that's what's happening with that early childhood. I thank you for your support.
Let me add my voice to this too, if I may. I thank you as well. I want to thank the people that are doing the teaching in the classrooms. I can't tell you how important I think you are, because you're talking about graduation rates. This will make our rates zoom. You know, it'll be years, but it's a work in progress. But keep doing this, and you'll see benefits in reading, writing, everything, inclusion, the whole bit. I just can't tell you how happy I am with this.
Thank you so much. And before we wrap up, I want to make sure I have the opportunity to say that one of the reasons that Lincoln County was chosen was because of the leadership. And as Superintendent Gray has announced her retirement, we just want to say how much we're going to miss her. And I know you know how lucky you've been to have her as a leader. And we are looking forward to the work continuing, which is in part, part of the legacy that a superintendent can leave. So we really, really appreciate not only Dr. Gray, but also the principals, the teachers, the families, everybody we've engaged in. Like Lincoln County has just been so much fun, And we feel like they're going to be a model in the state here very soon. So
Thank you, Karen.
It has been such an honor to work with Children's Institute as well. It really is a game changer for us, for sure.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for coming.
And thank you for your presentation.
So great to see
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you. Thank you for coming down.
Thank you so much. Bye, Karen.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Because our meeting's running a little long, we're gonna go ahead and do the blue cards now.
Yeah.
Because, sorry, you can both come up. Come on up. We've got Greg Holland, Wellport Mayor. Good evening.
Welcome, Mayor Holland.
Nice to have you here. Again, Eric, thank you so much.
Yes.
I would remind you that we'd like to keep it about 3 minutes. Okay.
Thank you for having me and glad to have you in Wellport. I just want to speak from the heart and tell you that the I'm representing the city council, and one of our goals is to obtain the building that we're bidding on with school board, the property you're selling. And the reason we want to obtain it is we want to turn that building into an educational, recreational, and art providing building to our children in the community and to our adults and to our provide all around opportunities for our community, because we want to totally rehab the building. We've had experts in to look at it, and it's possible. We want to rehab the gym, the whole building, and we want to also on the site build a new community library and attach that library to the building so we can access it for total use of it for the new library, to have expanded programs and to make it a full use of the building. And I don't know if you know, next to it, the building on the old high school site, we're building a new park where we've gotten a $750,000 grant from the State Park and Recreation building, or Parks, State Park and Recreations. We're building a state-of-the-art park. And next to where your building is currently, we want to build a ADA playground. So all children with all abilities can play in that playground. And it will be so close to that building. And also we want to keep the community garden. We want to keep the community garden too. So that can be part of the educational opportunities through the library and things too. A little bit about the park too. It's dedicated to Louis Southworth, who was actually a former slave who bought his freedom himself. And what he did is he came to Wellport and he donated the land that built the first school in Wellport. And we're having a statue of him put in the park, and we're honoring his legacy. So education is part of the park, and we really want the school building. Thank you. And we're going to allow, we talked about it, we're going to allow the fire district to use the school property for some training. We think we could work it out. Dan and I, the city manager, talked about it this afternoon. We think we can use it.
That's good. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, and I'm sorry to make it such a late evening for you. But
Oh, no,
I'm
I
sure-
enjoyed the program.
I'm sure your meetings are over.
Oh, our meeting's going just like you. But I appreciate learning about the school district too.
Well, it's very informative.
Yeah, it's good. I'll listen to history.
I'll remind you the next meeting.
Oh, I have to say, I have two great city councilors sitting back. They're wonderful. I love them.
I'm well aware. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Your turn.
Well, as you know, my name's Eric Knudsen. I'm a lieutenant and maintenance officer for Central Coast Fire. I'm in a unique position as I'm although paid full-time at the district, I am a volunteer responder. So what that means is all throughout my 8-hour day, I fix stuff. I make sure that our trucks are rolling out the doors, that the buildings are being maintained properly. Recently, I redid the Tidewater station, which under normal circumstances But through some creative work, was able to save the district about $750,000. And because building a critical infrastructure today's dollars, as you probably know, is about $550 a square foot. So I was able to do it for around $250,000. So, and it's a whole brand new facility in Tidewater. On the other side of that, I'm also a volunteer responder. So if we get a fire call or we get a wreck or we get a CPR call throughout the day, I stop. I'm off the clock at that point and I go onto that call as a volunteer. So, which I do happily any day. That gives me a unique opportunity in the fact that I deal with a lot of the budget for the district all year, all month long. Now we're coming into, like you guys are, the budget season. So I see our budget and I understand the fiscally responsible. I get that, totally understand that. We rely 100%, we have to rely 100% on property tax. That's it. We don't get state funding. We don't get city funding. We don't get any funding on the district side. So I see a unique opportunity with our volunteer association to really open up to the community, not just the Walport, not just the Yachats or Steel Rock, but the entire Lincoln County. Because we are a 501c3, there's unique opportunities afforded to us in grant opportunities. I've already been and reached out for several $1 million in training funds and so on, if you have in-kind donations. And I get $700,000 as a large in-kind donation. But if you take that on a percentage basis on the level of grants that I've been looking at, if you have that, then you can get these. So having that property and being able to utilize that 501c3 on a donation and bringing that together, we're able to then bring in the emergency management services, being able to bring in a proper training ground, just the burn box, as we call it. That's can run into the $1.5 million for one of those. Small organization without any kind of property to put that on, you're not going to get it. Even on the district level, there's no grants available because they're being given honestly to the bigger agencies. So I'm playing on what I've heard tonight. It takes us to work locally because we've been honestly, the district's been denied grants because we're too small, because we run too little calls. So we've actually been denied federal funding, grant funding. The association's already looking at putting out, and I'm going to be getting a hold of Amy Skirvin to do an EMS scholarship that the association has done through the bingo. I'm sure you guys have seen that we put together. So we're now going to go to the school, look for students that might want to do not just EMT or firefighting or any of that, anything healthcare related, EMS related. So we're looking at doing that.
Thanks, Eric. I think we're gonna have to wrap it up
Okay.
for you. Sorry, I
Real
applaud.
quick, Rose, then if you could please reconsider even in part, maybe work a deal that we can future give the money back, if it ever sells, something like that. I understand fiscally responsible, but I also understand that by working together, we can maybe expand services that we all need countywide, not just here. So.
Thank you so very well said. Thank you so much and appreciate you sticking around for the meeting. Next, we're going to move on to board reports. We're going to keep it kind of brief tonight, so we keep things moving. So, Peter.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Peter.
Okay, very quick list. I just want to send out congratulations to Toledo Elementary, their avid certified school, which is an incredible systemic achievement. Congrats to Toledo High Wrestling, 3rd in state, Ash Blomstrom, 2-time state champion at 195, Logan Girding, state champ at 132. Band and choir concerts are tomorrow and Thursday night. Nathan Bush is going to get his students doing a drama play coming up, and the Toledo High Centennial celebration will be May 4th. Done.
Okay, thank you. I'll make a brief report. At Site Council, they're having an avid parent night tonight, which is awesome. Bringing all their kids that are involved in avid together with their parents.
I made a video for that because I couldn't.
That's what they said anyway. It's really exciting and just a lot going on in the high schools that they're always are getting ready for conferences. But I just want to make one quick note about hearing how Synergy is really working. And for me, that's really exciting because we hear about these programs and we all vote yes, and let's do it. And then to sit down and have a parent tell me, this is the best thing that ever happened. I know what my kids are doing. My kids know what they're doing. And to me, that's why I'm sitting up here right now. It's because these kids are getting the information they need. The parents are getting the information they need for their kids to succeed. And so that's my report. Cecilia?
I just want to say that I've been kind of hanging around here in this room, playing the ukulele at lunchtime in both schools. And I leave this place feeling very good. The principal forgot to mention that Walport, the forestry program got #1, and I don't know if he didn't mention that, but I think it's supposed to be.
How many times?
Yes, but I want to, I just want to say how good it feels to come into the building now and watching the students, they're demanding the best for us in however behavior they show. And watching the teachers and all the staff responding to the needs it'll be down on the floor or getting hug. And I walk in here and I get the hugs.
Yeah.
But I want to stand up for South County and say, thank you. We're moving forward with our new leadership, with this board, to support what we're doing with our students. And I'm very, very proud. I'm telling you, when I walk out of this door, every time I visit, I feel very, and I'm proud. Thank you, Steve, Amy, let Mike know, and Sandy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nicely said. Make it.
Nothing specific to report this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Mike, you have anything you'd like to report on tonight?
I haven't had a chance, you know that.
Well, we just like to hear your voice, so that's good.
Yeah, I don't
Want to make
mind.
sure you're still with us.
I'm still with you.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, we're glad you're here. Superintendent's report?
Yes,
Karen?
thank you, Madam Chair. We have a leadership gathering conversation next Tuesday, March 21st, from 5 to 6:30 at the district office. The board needs to meet to discuss the list of invitees and the topics. I am starting to work on the agenda for the gathering, which is April 20th at 5:30 at the Best Western. Starting to work on that agenda tomorrow. And so we'll have a conversation. Remember, Tuesday, March 21st from 5 to 6:30. If you can't make it in person, we can get you a Zoom link. Superintendent transition and administrative changes, just some reminders. Marty Perez, the current principal at Sam Case, is the new Newport Middle School principal. He has attended all of our board meetings. He is always here. We're very excited for Marty. Aaron Baloney will take Maya Lee's position as the secondary teaching and learning director. Marcy Doyle will become principal at Sam Case. Marty's been working with her and training her for the last 2 years. Chloe Minch again will be the Toledo junior high school. I want to get those names mixed up. Principal, which we're very excited about. Brent Belville, the current interim who is retired, is going to retire yet again. Miley's Tolan will be your superintendent, which we are very excited about. We'll be hiring assistant principals for Crestview Heights, and Sandy will be principal at Crestview Heights. I've got you so dialed in, I don't even think about it. anymore. You're so like a principal to me. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is for me. I just think of you that way. And I love Mike too. I'm just saying, I'm thinking about you. So assistant principal for Crestview, Ocean Lake, because Starla Nelson will be the new principal at Ocean Lake. Mary Pitcher is retiring. And then we'll have a new assistant principal at Sam Case as well. We're doing a pool type of interview. Tiana DeVries is helping us. It's late, I get a free pass. Tiana DeVries is helping us with all of those interviews, as is Katie Barrett. So we're working on our transition plans as we speak. I wanted to give a brief legislative update, if you don't mind. It's not currently on the agenda, but I did want to mention it in that today we had a statewide off-the-record superintendent's council meeting in which several bills were discussed. We're running late tonight. I really wanted to talk about a couple of them with the board. I'm most concerned about Senate Bill 819, abbreviated school day. Today it was described as toxic. It is a bill that is going to pass, and it is around what's going to happen for students and families and schools around abbreviated school day. In addition, we talked about Senate Bill 283, which is an omnibus workforce bill. An omnibus bill is a big bill, and this covers 3 different Senate bills, from Senate Bill 282 to Senate Bill 284. And there are very good things about that workforce bill. We're always looking to develop the teacher workforce, but there are also bad parts to the bill. And so we're just hoping that the good parts shine through and we get that. House Bill 3101 regarding all schools having to develop a panic button system doesn't look like it's going to pass because it's too expensive, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to work on that as a district. And in fact, we had a meeting about that today. We'll have more to report to the board next month. Frankly, whenever you're speaking with legislators, we are still looking at a current service level of 10.3 billion for the biennium. Let me say that again, 10.3 billion for the biennium. Well, the Lincoln County School District is lucky in a sense. I don't know if it's luck or not luck. We just haven't been able to hire all the people we've been wanting to hire through our ESSER dollars or otherwise, and have a healthy ending fund balance and contingency. Our expenditures have gone up almost 6%. That is certainly not the percentage that we are being raised in our revenue. Therefore, we are backwards, and we're currently backwards or upside down. So we're really looking at a $10.3 billion current service level. As you know, the governor has recommended 9.9 billion, which gave us a really good start, but it's not where we want to end up. And we want full funding for the SIA, and we want full funding for high school success. We want full funding for these programs. We also want full funding for EIECSE, which is early intervention, early childhood special education, and for our JTEP programs, which are for our juveniles. So just want to make sure that the board is aware. I have a bunch of slides I'm going to be sending you tomorrow when I get them from COSA, and I send them to you so you can know what the superintendents know. And I send those slides to the LST, sometimes to all admin, and always to the board. If you have questions about that, let me know. I have been invited to a meeting at the governor's office to give recommendations for the next Oregon Department of Ed executive director. So I will be going to Salem to meet with the governor next week and give her my opinion about who I think and what kind of characteristics the new Colt Gill, if you will, the new deputy superintendent needs to have, as she is looking at passing the torch because Colt Gill is retiring June 30th. Also former superintendent of Bethel School District. On February 28th, we had a joint meeting with OCCC. We kind of forgot about that, but we had a wonderful meeting with OCCC, in particular with Dan Lara. Dr. Reisling wasn't here, But we had a wonderful meeting. I was so delighted. Megan Colley was the star of the show. She was brilliant and gave us a great rundown along with Dr. Bowman on their Health and Allied Services program. I was so proud of Megan as she just spoke brilliantly for about 20 minutes at that meeting. Maya Lee spoke at that meeting with Dan. They're great partners. Even as superintendent, Maya Lee will bring that with her. And we have just a wonderful relationship with that board. And hopefully this board will continue meeting with them. It's odd, it never happens. You don't have the board of the school district and the board of the college meeting together. I mean, I don't know anybody who has an MOU like we have. We're the only ones. And I wanted to lastly announce that Brian Fresky is our new director of technology. He's sitting over there next to Brandon. And we're so pleased and happy. He has really picked up the torch as our former director has had his own issues. And hopefully we'll be seeing him again soon. So I'm excited to say that, and that's my report.
Anybody have any questions? I'll look forward to those slides coming out.
They're coming out tomorrow.
The questions that I have will be answered
They
in
will
those-
be.
and those slides. I'm sure of it. So, anyway, moving along, look at adoption of the consent calendar at this time. Go, Eddie. Somewhere in here, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
You can do that right now.
Yeah. So do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. The motion passes. Thank you very much. Personnel, and that included personnel. Yep. So we are at the school calendar right now.
That actually been.
That was in it. Okay, awesome.
Just passed
Okay.
it.
Zippity-doo-dah.
And on to action.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I got lost.
It's all good. Take your time.
So we looked at contract renewals and extensions. We all had a chance to review those. Any questions should have been forwarded to Dr. Gray. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the contract renewals and extensions as provided in the board folder under separate cover. Do I have such a motion? Thank you, Mike. Do I have a second? Any questions? All
I have a super quick
Okay.
question. At the end of some of the names, it was LOA.
Yeah,
I didn't know what that meant.
I don't know what that means. I had the same question.
Okay, okay.
Leave of absence.
Leave of
Okay.
absence. Okay,
Thank you. I appreciate
thank you. Thank you for pointing that out, Peter, because I had the same question.
Good.
So unless there's any further questions, we'll take the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. None opposed, the motion passes. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Okay. We are looking at 11A1, the ESS contract. It was presented in the March board packet,
We've missed the integrated guidance code.
10B1.
We just
Well,
missed one item.
oh, sorry.
It's the project integrated guidance app.
Thank you. I don't know why I'm getting lost here.
No worries.
But
No worries.
that's why I can get lost.
right.
So no, that's where we're at, motion to approve the integrated guidance package
And just to
application.
remind the board, you got a full-on presentation by Assistant Superintendent Susan Van Loo last month. She went a long way around to show what the integrated guidance application was, what it entails. And so we are looking for a vote from the board to approve our application.
All right. Gee, that seems like a long time ago, but I remember it. It was very good.
It was good.
Anyway, so again, I would entertain a motion. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And none opposed, motion passes. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful presentation, by the way.
Now you're ready for ESS.
Now I'm down to ESS. Okay. And thank you. We'll invite up Tiana and Kim to give us talk about the contract with ESS. That would be our substitute school
Yes.
provider.
In 2019, we requested from the board to move our substitutes to a contracting service, ESS, with the idea that if it didn't work out as a, great situation, that we would not have that relationship anymore. And really, doesn't have anything to do with them as a company. What we found is that we don't know our people well enough. And given our geography and given especially what's come up in the past 2 years with COVID, is that we have a lot of long-term subs and we have a lot of unfilled absences that if we knew our subs a little bit better and a little bit differently, and when new subs come, they have a connection with us, and when we have maternity leaves, that kind of thing, we know Jenny especially is my trusty sidekick. Okay, well, good job. I'm done. And, we just don't have people on hand because we don't know them well enough right now. And that's one of our major pieces. We have a long-term leave right now, one in the fall, and we are consistently trying to figure out who might be able to fill them because we don't know them. And it's a different situation than we're used to. And, after COVID, again, long-term leaves, and it's just, all the situation. So I prepared just some information for you that's in the packet. If you have other questions, I'm happy to answer them for you, but just kind of outline some of our major pieces. And, financially, Kim and I work together, and it will be our staff in the HR department. We've been able to hire some amazing people into our department that can actually provide the care and feeding for subs a little bit differently than we had before. And so I'm managing the payroll, and we have a robust HR department now. And so I feel confident that we're going to be able to take care of them differently.
I thought your information was really helpful to me, and I'm not surprised because we knew when we brought it on that it was kind of a trial basis to see how it worked out.
Yes,
So
thank you.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
I thought your rationale was right on. So
Works really well for districts in the valley where they've got a larger sub.
Yeah.
But just didn't work out.
I appreciate the fact that the board, upon the recommendation for all the right reasons that we thought this would be good, you guys, both of you, have tried really hard to make this work for the district financially, sweat equity, how hard the both of your departments work to make this work. And when you start to really see that something just isn't working, rather than kind of limping along,
right,
and just doing it for like pride or something, there's just no reason to do that. And in that we were starting to hire so many people ourselves, it was like running a dual program.
That's right.
It just didn't make any sense, but I appreciate the board because you were willing to listen, to try to see if this would work. And then to actually, just like you said, Liz, to hear that the pilot it just didn't work.
And I think COVID really changed things as well. It changed the landscape.
We hire all the subs because we have so many open positions. If somebody comes to work, we hire them into a regular position. They can't leave.
Funny. I guess it has it does have its
That's right.
So is there anything that you need from us? It's just information.
It was information, and just thank you for your, as Dr. Gray said, going with us in
No,
2019. and-
Information.
Yeah,
Okay.
information, and that our secretaries know. I will take care of the notice. Kim and I will to ESS, and we'll start working on our transition plan to turn those back over to us, but it should be seamless.
We needed the board to know because we asked them.
That's right.
So now that we're not, we need to close the. loop.
Anybody have any questions for comments?
Just the comment on something that you included in your description. The fact that these subs are going to know our
avenues.
That's right.
PBS.
Techniques, PBIS,
Mhm.
I like that.
all of that brings them on board with our systems, makes it seamless instead of having that interruption and chance for kids to kind of lose the ground.
Yep.
So I think that's really important.
We'll have much more flexibility for training and for intervention for
Yeah.
staff who are struggling with students and a connection with principals, and to work with Kelly Boudry and work on our behavior systems with our subs will be really valuable.
And those programs have changed so much over the
Mhm.
years since we went
Yeah.
with ESS. It really, again, changed the landscape.
Thanks for bringing that up because I thought, all right,
Good.
right on. It's perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank
guys-
you.
You guys are amazing. You make a good team. Thank you. All right, I don't think we have any public comment tonight. We are moving on to 11B2, superintendent evaluation. You know, let Peter speak to that since I gave him a job to do
Yeah.
while I was on vacation.
Well, we talked about it, Liz, and we came up with 4 questions for Karen, and then Karen and I talked about those, and she added one other thing. So I don't know if you want me to go over those questions.
Or we can just send them out to
Okay, that's
the
fine.
board.
Yeah, and
me.
and you, and it's you're in a unique position, right? The evaluation that we're asking from you is not so much for ongoing work as kind of a look back and a suggestion of where the district is strong and where maybe we need some improvements.
I can provide a summary evaluation of the work. And then also provide suggestions as to how to keep it moving forward. And then the board can review that and take it or leave it, you know, as far as that goes. Yeah, I should say you to suspend your contract. I don't know. Tell me. It's hard being liaison. But I do think I have a unique perspective. I started that in the document in December where I listed department by department what we were doing. I feel like I can kind of look forward thinking that way. And I want to provide that information to the next superintendent and the board. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just tell me when it's due.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll give you a due date, but thank you. I just appreciate that you're agreeing to do it, and I think that
100%.
we'll put it in your file and so just in case, you know, but it's going to be helpful for everyone.
Well, I know it's going to be insightful as your last
It will
evaluation
be.
was. Much appreciated for that.
My pleasure.
It'll be full of great stuff. So anyway. Moving along, we have reminders and announcements. As Karen mentioned, March 21st, leadership gathering planning meeting at TLC at 5. We have no work session in March. April 11th is the board meeting at Taft L. April 20th, the leadership gathering. May 9th, the board meeting in Twin View, and May 17th, and 18th is the centennial concerts at Newport Middle. So a lot of fun things. So look, I know we're going to be the new grandstand at Newport High School. We'll do a ribbon cutting then, and the new gym. So a lot of fun things. So
I'm updating the calendar here and let you know that I will not be at the 11th board meeting. I'm presenting it at the CTE conference.
all right, thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
Eddie's got that down. Yeah,
No, that's
no,
great.
that's awesome.
That's great to know.
That's good. Anyway, does anybody else have anything that they like to add right now? Go to the order. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you, Ira, for coming, Iris. Thank you for your hospitality. Thank you. Sorry.